What if I told you that some of the greatest video games ever aren't actually original games at all? For years, gamers have treated original releases as sacred. The first version is often seen as the greatest one, the one that started it all. But when you look closely, many remakes don't just preserve great games, they make them better in every way possible. Today I'm going to explain why remakes are often better than the original video games they are based on. First, we gotta speak about the technology. The biggest advantages remakes have is technology. Many classic games were created in 1990s and early 2000s. I'm fucking stupid. Since then, the technology has greatly increased in both graphics and generally the gameplay is just better. A lot of classic games haven't aged well. Controls back then felt acceptable decades ago, can be frustrating if played today, especially the camera systems. Today can be very awkward. For example, like the Resident Evil game, the early ones with the fixed cameras. In today's world, it feels very bad compared to the time it was created where it was acceptable. Menus also can be very confusing nowadays. Quality of life features that players expect simply didn't exist back then, that were created later on. Remakes just modernize these mechanics. They keep the core design the same while making it better and removing stupid things. Players can still enjoy the game that was first created and what make the game great, but without the bad mechanics and interfaces. A good story that most people like old games because of the story can still stay the same in today's world and be improved. Another thing is the improved visual enhanced immersion. Some people argue that graphics don't matter at all. They are wrong, let's be honest. Graphics aren't everything, but they absolutely contribute to immersion. Modern remakes can bring characters, environments, and emotional moments to life in ways the original hardware never could because of the technology at the time, like the detailed facial expressions of the characters. Like if you see the original Tomb Raider or Resident Evil characters, they basically have no features that you can see clearly. The realistic lighting and improved animations make a story more real instead of just characters that barely move. When a remake does it well, upgraded visuals don't replace the original experience, they make it better. And on top of that, remakes combine the best of both eras. One of the strongest arguments for remakes is that they combine old ideas with modern design. On top of that, the original game provides evidence for foundation. Developers already know what worked back then and what didn't, so with the remake of the game they can take the feedback from the players, keep what people liked the same, and take what people didn't like back then and make it better or change it. For example, it's like taking a classic car, giving it a modern engine, better safety features, and improved performance. The spirit remains the same, it's the same car, but the experience is superior. but there are a lot of people that say, now, to be fair, not every remake is better. Some lose the atmosphere, art style, or unique charm that made the original memorable. Others change too much and end up feeling disconnected from the source material. But when a remake respects the original while improving its weaknesses, it often becomes the definitive version. That's why many players today choose remakes over the originals when experiencing a game for the first time. But the people that claim that the originals are far more superior than the remakes because back in the day, the original games, I'm gonna take Resident Evil games for example. Resident Evil 4 was beloved at the time and it was considered one of the greatest games of the time, and people still claim that the game holds up and it's way better than the remake. But let's be honest guys, if you played the remake, the gameplay is way better, the graphics are definitely better. I saw a video from a TikToker that he said that there are some few details that make the original better, and he said about the merchant dialogue and some other small stuff, but they make zero difference to the game whatsoever. And you can't say that you would prefer to play the original Resident Evil 4 instead of the remake in today's world. It's like saying you would prefer to use iPhone 1 instead of the 17. It's just stupid to say that the original games are just better. If Capcom were to release Resident Evil 4, the original, in today's world, they would be crucified. I'm not saying the Resident Evil 4 original, it's a bad game, but it's a bad game for today's standard. The remake, it's definitely better than the original. Yes, maybe the original is better for the time it was released, and it was definitely iconic. I'm not trying to take away from the original Resident Evil 4, but the remake is definitely better in almost every way. Gamers love saying the original is always better. Really? Because if that's true, then by that logic we should all be using flip phones, driving cars without air conditioning, and watching movies on VHS tapes that randomly decide to stop working halfway through. Nostalgia is a powerful thing, I can't lie. It can convince people that a game with tank controls and fixed camera, possessed by demons and loading screens long enough to earn a college degree was actually perfect. Today I'm going to explain why remakes are often better than the original games they are based on, and why some gamers personally get offended when you say that. My first point is, the originals worked so the remakes could run. Look, original games deserve respect. I'm not taking away from that. They took risks, they created iconic characters that we all love, they pushed technology to its limits for the time, but let's not pretend those limits weren't limits. Back in the day, developers were basically trying to build a mansion using 3 sticks, a potato, and whatever spare memory was left on the console. Sometimes a door was blurry because they ran out of storage space. Sometimes a character had 5 facial expressions because the console would explode if it tried to render a 6th. A remake lets developers finally make the game they wanted to make before the hardware said, fuck no. Another point that I want to make is about the controls. People say the controls are tension. No, fighting the controls is not tension. If my character turns slower than a cruise ship, and you know that one meme with the skeleton turning the pirate ship thingy? That one meme. Yeah, if you play a game and you turned it takes 5 minutes to turn your camera all the way around, then the controls are shit. I can't lie. And if the camera is staring at a wall for half the game, that's not horror, that's a technical issue. Modern remakes keep the challenge while removing the part where you are less wrestling the controller harder than the actual boss fight. The remix makes the progress. And another thing is the graphics. People say that the graphics don't matter, and I'm not saying that the graphics are everything, but the graphics do matter. It's not the primary reason someone plays a game, but if the graphics are bad, it's not gonna be a good game, especially today. And let's be honest, in a story, if a villain looks like 5 pixels, no, I'm gonna take that shit seriously, bro. Another thing, some people claim that the remakes aren't their own game, that they get to just cheat and get considered a good game. The original game had to figure everything out from scratch. The remake already knows what players loved. Developers have years of feedback. They know which levels were amazing. They know which missions people hated. They know which boss cost thousands of controllers to become airborne. A remake is basically a student getting to retake a test after seeing all the answers. Of course, it's going to do better than the original, who was just making stuff up at the time. And that's a good thing. You have all that feedback from the players. You know what to keep the same. You know what has to change. Yes, not all games do that. Let's be honest. Resident Evil 3 cut a lot of the story and the gameplay out, but even that happening, Resident Evil 3 Remake is better than the original, let's be fair. Nemesis is way more terrifying than the 3 pixels he was back in 1990 whatever. Now, are all remakes better? Absolutely not. Some remakes remove features that people loved. Some completely miss the point of the original. And some somehow manage to look better while feeling worse. That's an impressive achievement. In the same way accidentally setting cereal on fire is impressive. But when a remake understands why the original worked, it can become the definitive version. And let's be honest, the reason most people love the originals and hate the new remakes and the new games in general is because they are nostalgia written. It's the same reason the prequels of Star Wars were hated, because people were degrading the original because of nostalgia. But let's be fair, the newer ones are definitely better most of the times. And that's not a bad thing, that's just progress, that's how the world works. And would you prefer to use an iPhone 1? The original iPhone that that was the most iconic phone that had all those features, or use the most recent one, which is the iPhone 17 now? With how much the iPhones progressed, you definitely get a 17 instead of the 1, bro. Let's be honest, the players that just prefer the originals and hate on the remakes are just trying to play the OG card. I'm an OG, I prefer the original games. But let's be honest, I'm not gonna hate on the originals. The original game deserves credit for creating the experience. But the remix gets the benefit of modern technology, better design, improved visuals, quality of life features, years of player feedback. It's like comparing your first school photo to a professional edited portrait. one was important, the other one just looks way better. So yes, the original may have started the journey, but the remake often finishes it. And somehow out there, a nostalgic gamer is typing an angry comment before I even finish this sentence, bro. Anyways, this is all love. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. If you liked the video, like and subscribe, leave a comment of what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.